We are at Southwest Arkansas's Crater of Diamond State Park, and we're on the Wildlife Observation Blind Trail. There's a blind right up. It looks like we're at the end of the trail, but no, it turns there, and I'll show you. We'll go up there in a minute. I'm the guy who literally wrote the book on diamonds in Arkansas, and what we want to do tonight is look at a whole bunch of 100-year-old pictures, but we're going to have to hurry because I came up here right before sunset, hoping that's the best time to find a deer at this wildlife observation blind. So let's slip up here and see if there's any deer out. If not, we can at least show you what the blind looks like. It's pretty cool. They built this, and I don't think it gets a lot of use. But one thing neat about this, the trail intersects perpendicularly with a 100-year-old trail that a tram train rode on. The tracks aren't there anymore, but there's remnants of where that train used to run. A squirrel just ran up that tree, so that's a little bit of wildlife we can observe. This is the blind. Restricted to daylight hours only, so we're going to have to get out of here because it's going to get dark. Sun's going down pretty soon. But isn't this cool? Look, there's all these portals you can look out, and they put it strategically placed at the intersection of, here's a creek where the deer would come for water, and this is the power line in here. So an opening in the woods. Now back in the woods, there isn't much grass to eat, and the deer need to eat something, so they'll come out here and eat. The sunlight helps that grass grow real good, and so there's an opening where the power line goes through. When you drive into the park, slow down and turn and look both ways at the power line, because I often see deer in here. But of course, tonight we don't, but who knows, my talking might have scared them away. But I just wanted to show you this observation blind is here. And really, it's pretty cool. You can look out each side. You can sit on benches. Kids can get in here. They've got one their size, and you can be real quiet and wait for the animals to come around and try to be sneaky and see the deer. We might see one cross the path walking up here, but I want to run back here to the spot. I'm fascinated by history. Maybe you think history's boring, but give USA, Arkansas diamond mining history a try. It's fascinating, all the work and effort they put into it. And I want to talk a little bit tonight, not just about the effort, but the results too. I want to talk about one particular operation and what they found. Now, they used many names for the operation. It started out the Kimberlite Diamond Mining Company, but that was Austin Q. Millar and Howard Millar's operation, a father-son operation. They were both geologists. But they merged Howard Bemis, a lumberman in nearby Prescott, Arkansas. He had one called the Ozark Diamond Mining Company, and I've got a stock certificate from it, and there's pictures of that in my book as well. But then there was the Monty Mine, so they teamed up with the Monties as well, because they own some of the property, and we're talking about the north portion of the current day Crater of Diamond search territory. Now, this table isn't normally here. I set it up here just so I can show you some pictures in a minute, and to me, this is fascinating. See this old tram train and the men that were on it? See, it's a small gauge railroad. The men are practically as tall as a locomotive, but that is a train. They dug up by the mine shaft building at the north end of what is now Crater of Diamond State Park, and they hauled the ore all the way to Prairie Creek. They had a state-of-the-art diamond recovery plant built by the ample water of Prairie Creek, and they hauled it on railroad track, and the track went through right here. Can you see this elevated portion? See, there's kind of a ditch on this side and a ditch on this side. they elevated it. They piled the dirt up here so it wouldn't be swampy in the wintertime and when it gets wet, dirt and rock and things, and they put their train track on here. It also goes off in this direction, and it was from so long ago, this huge pine tree has grown up right where the tracks would have been. Now, the plant went into operation in March of 1913, and arsonists burned down the plant January 13th, 1919. So it operated 5.5 years before it was destroyed by fire. And in a little bit, we'll talk about how many diamonds they found. But I want to look at these pictures with you. A lot of these are in my book, Genuine Diamonds Found in Arkansas. But we'll see that picture a little better. But we'll see these pictures better. They're just in the book, but I brought bigger pictures along with me tonight to show you, you know, what they did. And there's a picture here of the plant when it was in operation. This is over by the Mooney house by Prairie Creek, and then it was burned down. And here's the little train headed on the tracks to the processing plant. But let's get into the pictures now, take a look at them, and see what we can learn about what it looked like over 100 years ago. This fascinates me. I hope it will you as well. But I couldn't put all of these pictures in my book, but some of them are in there. So all the men in this photo, all these workmen that they had here are dead now, because that picture is 100 years old. So if they were 40 at the time, they'd be 140, and nobody lives that long. This picture I scanned from the Crater of Diamonds archive. It's absolutely brown in their archives, and so it scanned a little dark, but you can see this man standing by the engine, and then the carts are full of ore, and it's a small gauge train. But anyway, it hauled the ore back and forth, and to get it across Prairie Creek, they had to build a trestle across Prairie Creek to haul everything. Now, the way they loaded them, they loaded everything by hand. So here's the geologist, the boss, pointing, I want you to fill this, I want you to fill that, and here's the ore carts kind of at the end of the run there. And a picture was taken, I think, minutes later from a different vantage point. Here's the same guy that was pointing and the guy he was talking to, and here's the ore carts, and they just moved around. So, see, these are at the end of the line, and they're filling it with ore, shoveling and filling that in there, and then the track takes it back to the diamond recovery plant. Here's another picture of them filling the carts. See how they were tipped for easy filling, and then when it started to get full, they'd tip them all the way up and then finish filling them. So it was a hard way to load it by hand, but that's the way they did it. At least they had an efficient way of hauling it. And here are the tracks. This is actually next to the Ozark plant that Horace Bemis had built. And this used to sit on the north end of the present-day Crater of Diamonds search field, not far from the mine shaft building. This building was burned down the same night the other building was burnt down, and the tracks between it were set on fire, and the trestle was burned down. So it was obviously not a natural fire. Arsonists lit everything. They lured the guard away and lit it on fire. Just here's another picture of, see the wood, it's like their railroad ties. They just cut oak and put it down there. It's not your creosote treated railroad ties that we're used to. They just cut oak, pretty much logs, and laid them down, and anyway, put the track on it. And I actually own a couple of pieces of that track. I bought some property 24 years ago. My wife and I did, and some of the track was laying there. But this shows the end of the track going into the bottom of that state-of-the-art diamond recovery plant. I want to be sure you can see the tracks here. I'll zoom in a little bit, but see, they go right up there and into that dark. And then the next picture shows you kind of where that leads. And this is under the building on the lower level, that diamond recovery plant. And there's a woman in a white dress standing there, and that's probably Austin Q. Millar's wife and Howard Millar's mother. Here's the little engine, and here's the carts they were pulling. And it's just a fascinating structure, and I've got pictures of when it was being built and everything too. But really some pretty neat architecture here. But if you'll study right here on the ground, to me this looks like some kind of a turnstile or a roundhouse kind of a thing, where when that train came up there, you could turn it on that roundhouse turn and get that engine turned around to go, because it dead-ended. You know, we saw in that other picture. It was up against the wall, and the engine's got to turn around and go back unless they drove it in reverse. But I think, you know, they'd want the guy to look out the windshield in the front. So I think this is a little way they turned it around, headed it back. So what did they find for all their effort? Piles and piles of diamonds. This is in black and white. I imagine these are white, and these may be brown, and you got yellows in here, and then here you got your really big ones. And we do have a record of, you know, some of the sizes of the diamonds that they found. And what I think is just so cool, when I was doing research for my book, I studied the archives at the Crater of Diamonds, and they have a whole bunch of papers and jewelry papers, and they would put diamonds in it and just fold it. And then somebody wrote on here that had really, really good penmanship, and they would say, okay, well, these are from the Monty mine. We have 15 yellow diamonds in this packet, total of 7.05 carats. And then the Ozark mine diamonds, 15 yellow ones, August 31st, 1916, they weighed 7.73 carats. And then they had a diamond cut and set in a locket, and it tells how big it is. And then here's 75 Pike County diamonds from Ozark Mine. The weight is 22.7 carats. Ozark Mine, 15 brown diamonds, August 31st, 1916, 11.72 carats. Here's 15 white diamonds, August 31st, 1916, 16.29 carats. So pretty cool stuff. They've got some real little diamonds in there as well. Of course, you find the little ones and the big ones. Here's 13 diamonds that weigh 1 5/8 carats. You know, once you add up all that together. August of 1914, 10 yellows, over a carat and a quarter, about carat and 3/8. April 1914. 18 dark brown diamonds, 4 1/4 carats. 20 brown diamonds, 5 carats. Then they're showing, you know, from the Monty mine, 15 white, a package from 1916. You know, these are over 100 years old. They had cool writing, though. I mean, isn't that neat? 15 brown ones totaling over 12.5 carats of diamonds. And then here's 4 rough yellow diamonds. I don't know, I just thought these packages were cool, and I couldn't put that in my book, but I get to show you now, because I think this is just neat stuff. 47 brown, 27 white, 30 brown, 18 pale yellow, 6 yellow, 23 browns, 28 yellows, 20 yellows, here's 32 white, and just stacks. They had a box of all these papers, and I just laid them out and scanned them. I just thought they were cool. So 22 yellows, 57 browns, 26 whites. So they had white, yellow, and brown diamonds just like we do now, and no mention of any other color besides these 3 main colors. 100 brown, 17 carats, August 1914. 53 browns, July 1914. Total almost 11 3/4 carats. 41 whites, about 8 1/4 carats. 15 yellows, 40 yellows, 20 whites, 23 yellow, 12.6 .73 carats, 23 yellows. That nice. And they've got some cut diamonds. They'd sent them off to New York to be cut, and they got them back. And they have an exhibition cut. They wanted to, you know, show their diamonds and show off their diamond mine and everything. And Ozark Diamond Mine diamonds. And anyway, look at that for a second. And I just kind of want to read to you some of the results from their mining. Just kind of a total on the deal. In fact, why don't we'll look at that picture just a minute, because that really shows the piles of diamonds that came out of this one plant. And they only had a small percentage of what is now the Crater Diamond Search Field. The bigger portion was at the southern end of the field. So during their 5.5 years of operation, we can estimate that they recovered a total of 4,932 diamonds weighing 1,100 carats. This was World War I era production, and due to war-related demand, the value of rough diamonds had increased 100% during this period. So they had a great run, even though it ended in tragedy when the plant was burned. The armistice to end World War I was signed November 11th, 1918, and just 2 months later, January 13th, 1919, is when the plants were burned to the ground. So these were definitely World War I era production diamonds. They got top dollar for them, and then arsonists just burned them to the ground. And if you want information about who might have been responsible, just get my book and read it. I tell more detail than I have time to tell right now. But I wanted to bring you out here and show you what this looked like. I mean, you can come and see for yourself. You can walk history. You could walk off in the woods and kind of walk down where that tram train used to run, right through here, carrying loads and loads that took diamonds to a diamond recovery plant. So thanks for joining me on our Genuine Diamonds in AR tonight. And here before the sun sets, we ought to sign off. But please like and subscribe and watch our other videos as well. They'll be educational, informative, and I hope you'll find them interesting. Thanks so much.